welcome to another episode of Now You See Me, the show where we redefine beauty from the inside out. I wanted to, in this episode, kind of give you a little update on my scalp and go back over some of the reasons why it's all spotted. There's some scarring here and there. So I want to go back over some details. So to remind some who've watched the last season, and to introduce or to show or to inform those who are new to the channel. I had gotten a diagnosis of lupus discoid. And that is the reason for the scarring on my scalp. But I want you to watch this and then I'll come back and explain a little bit further, okay?
A number of specific environmental issues can impede human health and wellness. These issues include chemical pollution, air pollution, climate change, disease-causing microbes, and the like. The immune system protects your body from outside invaders. These include germs such as bacteria, viruses, and toxins. The immune system is made up of different organs and cells and proteins that work together. Lupus is a chronic disease that can cause inflammation and disease in any part of the body. Normally, the body's immune system makes proteins called antibodies that protect the body from illness. The antibodies attach themselves to harmful bacteria and viruses called antigens, which can cause illness. Lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease, which means the immune system mistakenly attacks the healthy body cells and tissues without the presence of antigens. There are several well-known individuals who have publicly come forward with their experiences with this diagnosis. Chronic cutaneous lupus, or discoid lupus, causes skin lesions. These lesions usually occur on your scalp or face. I have to protect myself from direct sun exposure because the UV rays may act as a trigger, making scalp symptoms worse.
It's very difficult to tell between what's alopecia or some other kind of skin issue or hair issue. Then it's difficult to tell if it's lupus or it's something else rather. So they did what they call a biopsy. And that's when they take a plug of skin from both areas, from any area on your scalp, and they have to look at it underneath the microscope, okay? And so that's how they were able to determine that it wasn't alopecia, it wasn't something because of perms or something because of wigs or weaves or whatever. It was actually something going on in my body that was affecting my skin, okay? You know, when it comes to healing, we can't put God in a box. Yes, He is a creator of all things. He is more than capable of just speaking a word and it happens. Like He spoke all things into existence. But there sometimes He uses a different method for healing. And I wanted to kind of go over some of the things that are in the Word that shows that God has compassion on all people, but He doesn't use the same methods when it's time for healing. For example, let's go back to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus 15. Exodus 15. And so we're having the Israelites having to deal with bitter water. Having to deal with water that they could not drink. So now let's go And let's look at starting at verse 22. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Now when they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. And the people complained against Moses, saying, "What shall we drink?" So he cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree. When he cast it into the waters were made sweet. Then he made a statute and an ordinance for them. And there he tested them and said, "If you diligently heed the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his sight, give ear to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases on you, which I have brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." And this is where, in verse 27, then they came to Elim, where there were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees, so they camped there by the waters. So this is where the name Jehovah Raphi came from. But Raphi is just a root word. It's Rafika. Jehovah Rafika means God that heals, the God who heals. It's right here. And if you have any background whatsoever and you understand what probably happened when the tree was put into the water, there must have been a chemical reaction. There was something in the water that made it bitter to the taste, to the point that they could not drink it. Chances are, if they were trying to drink it, some of them probably got sick. And so God said to put the tree into the branches, knowing that the elements that were in the tree were going to combine with the elements that were in the water to make it conducive for drinking, to put them in a position where they could have water. And many don't understand that God is science. He's science. It's the same thing with table salt. Table salt has multiple uses. Salt itself has wonderful uses. But if you separate sodium and chloride, you have two dangerous chemicals. One is a metal, sodium by itself. Then chlorine is a gas all by itself. But when you put them together, there's a chemical change that causes food to have taste. And there are other uses for it as well. So it is easy to see the brilliance of God in having him to mix the chemical elements that were in the tree with the chemical elements that were in the bitter water. But you see God using the elements, using creation to help us, to help heal those who probably did drink some of that water and got sick. And let's look at, again, another example. Let's look at John chapter 9. Let's look at John chapter 9, because Jesus healed the blind man in John chapter 9. He healed the blind man in John chapter 9. Let's get to that. Here we go. John chapter 9, let's look at verse 1. And it reads, "Now as Jesus passed by, he saw a man who was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, 'Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?' Jesus answered, 'Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but that the works of God should be revealed. I must work the works of him who sent me while it's day. The night is coming when no one can work, and as long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world.' So when he had said these things, he spat on the ground and made clay with the saliva. And he anointed the eyes of the blind man with the clay. And he said, 'Go, wash in the pool of Siloam,' which is translated sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing." And so Jesus didn't just speak it. He didn't just lay hands on. He actually used the clay in the ground along with his saliva to create a mask over the man's eyes. That was the method that he used in this particular case to heal. We try to put God in some kind of box when it comes to healing, but there are various ways that God can use what's around him, or God use what was around him. Okay, and so I think when we are asking God for a healing, and we're getting in the prayer line, and sometimes, yes, we get that instant healing. But that's not always the case. Yes, it will leave you. But if you're not, let's say the sickness that you have will leave you. But if you're not doing what we're supposed to be doing to maintain that healing, then you're going to have just temporary relief. Now, let's look at something Paul told Timothy. Paul told Timothy in First Timothy chapter 5. Paul was trying to help Timothy with his ailment. Verse 23 says, 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 23 says, no longer drink only water, but use a little wine for your stomach's sake and your frequent infirmities. So it was believed that during this time where they were, there was a lot of bacteria going on in the water, and could have been the culprit for Timothy's sickness. And it could be a case also where the animals were in the same water where they were washing clothes, because you never know the conditions that were going on back there during this particular time, and it could have been something along those lines. So Paul was like, drink wine. You need wine, possibly, to drink instead of the water, because he said no longer drink only water. You need to drink something else, and to help with your stomach and your illnesses. Now I know some people use the scripture to say, oh, it's okay to drink all the time. He's not talking about all the time. He's talking about for medicinal purposes. So he was telling them every now and then to drink wine for medicinal purposes. It doesn't mean you go out and get drunk because it said so right here in this scripture. But like I said, this is a suggestion from Paul as a remedy for healing, to use what was around you for healing. And sometimes we put God in a box when it comes to healing. We put God in a box to say, you have to do it this way. And yes, we quote all the scriptures, and we're doing what we're supposed to do, and we're pumping up our faith, and we're believing God, and we're making affirmations, and we're doing all of those things. But we have to have a real understanding beyond our head knowledge. It's a constant understanding of the overall understanding to search out the matter. And sometimes God will tell you to get in the prayer line. Sometimes God will give someone a word and tell them to lay hands on you, and all of a sudden you up walking, and all of a sudden your back is straight. All of a sudden your eyes are clear. All of a sudden you hear. Yes, those things happen, most definitely. But they don't happen all the time. So we have to be open to God using different methods of healing. So I want to go a little bit into some of my methods, or some of the ways that I treat my scalp. So that, well, involve doctors, involve ointments and herbs and things of that nature. Okay. Okay. So after I shave my head, I normally try to put a little dab of alcohol on there. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot, but because you're dealing with this razor, and like I said, it has some spots that are considered to be alive, there's still activity. So I would just kind of dab that to make sure there's nothing going on from that razor. And so from that, let's do the doctor prescribed medicines. Now this is hydroxychloroquine, aka Plaquenil, and what it does is it reduces a lot of the flare-ups of type of lupus you've been diagnosed with, and it actually is very helpful. Matter of fact, there are times when I feel like, oh, I don't need it anymore, and then I get a flare-up because of it, because I have a mindset to finish things before it's time to finish it. I believe there's time to finish it, and I believe in healing. However, there's a responsibility that comes from us, and that's what I'm learning is my responsibility. Also, there's some steroids, some topicals that they put on here. Now, this is called clobetasol propionate, and when you look at the screen, it's going to show upside down or show backwards. But anyway, this is a steroid that was given to me that I put on. I don't put it on all the time because I go through these phases where I'm feeling like I want to try something a little bit more natural in dealing with it. But a friend of mine who does that I know has a skincare line, and so she gave me a lot of different ingredients to put in things, and I ended up, let's see. Anyway, I just put my little mixture. It was like in here of some different things. I don't have everything with me, but what I have on the table with me is a modified version because I started looking up like different remedies in addition to what was given me as far as that recipe is concerned. So what I decided to do was to do a mixture because this right here was liquid, and when you have liquid, even though they're all essential oils and things like that, it's very difficult, especially with those side wounds or the side scars, trying to get things to remain there, or it just seems less effective. So as the top ones, it just seems to kind of be able to rest there a little bit more. So what I did was got me some official shea butter and mixed all of that up together. I got some rosemary. I got some pure hyaluronic oil acid, and I got some aloe vera, and I got a little bit of the cedar wood. And right now, like I said, I am just I came up with something on my own because I needed something not that was liquid. I needed something that was more of a cream that I can actually put on it. And so I put it together. This jar is almost done, but smells wonderful with all of that. And I didn't exactly measure anything, but it's like a scoop of this and a scoop of that, and just stirred it up. But again, what I decided to put on it was the hyaluronic acid, the rosemary, the aloe, and like I said, the cedar wood, and of course my shea butter. And also this right here is pure Vaseline, and I just put it in there as far as texture is concerned. It's not the Vaseline that we use that has petroleum ingredients in it. This is pure and clear petroleum jelly I got from the local African store here. And so these are the things that I use or try to use on my scalp. These are the things keeping it moist, and also with these is good on your skin. Good on the rest of the body as well. But yeah, like I said, it can get a little grainy with that shea butter. It can get a little grainy, so I try to do it like this. Ooh, it's really good for my hands. Sometimes I don't know why my hands get so dry looking, but anyway, I put it on and give it a nice coat, especially in those particular areas. But it's good for the entire my entire scalp, not just part of it. My entire scalp. Now, in emergency situations, I will take the hair off with some Nair and some Neat or something like that. I was a little nervous at first doing that, but I was reading in one of the group chats where they actually put in the Neat and the Nair to remove the hair from the scalp, and they ended up with good results. But it just seems like, okay, we can't put these chemicals on your head like that. But then I thought about it. I put chemicals on my head. So, not often, but I will go get some Neat. And I'll just put it on there. I don't let it stay long. It's not like I have a whole goo gob amount of hair to do it with, but to use. But yeah, those are the main things. Is anything that was natural, anything that would sit on my scalp and help. But like I said, some things as far as healing and all of that's concerned, it really is our responsibility. That's what we don't take into account. That's what we don't take into account. And so that's basically it with my regimen. But like I said, this right here can be used for different parts of the bodies. I just like it. It has a wonderful smell. My elbows, y'all. I promise you. Yeah. So that would be concerning my scalp care and my responsibility for just my scalp and some regular checkups. I normally go into my doctor about twice a year, let him check on everything. What he does is he goes in, he checks my blood to make sure that everything's under control, because you know the life and everything about you is in the blood. And so they'll go in and they're looking for certain things, and to see if there's an escalation, they check all kinds of parameters to make sure that everything's nice and everything's steady and my body's not tripping. And I'm sorry, I'm really, really glad that there's somebody out there to make sure my body's not tripping. My body's not trying to, take over things in a negative way. Okay? So that's pretty much it as far as the treatment. But like I said, I go back and forth sometimes depending on what's going on. If I'm having a flare up, I know I'm going to need the steroid, need something a tad bit stronger. But just basic everyday skincare would be this right here, my little concoction. And also, like I said, when I stopped taking my hydroxychloroquine, issues, because I stopped for a while and I'm seeing now I probably need to go back on it. I need to go back on it. But part of redefining beauty is learning how to take care of you from the inside out. Like I said before, we believe God is Jehovah Rafika, the God who heals. But there are different ways that he does it. So we need to research and we need to come to an understanding of what is best, what's the best practice for handling certain situations. You can be healed in the prayer line, but like I said, it's going to come back on you if we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing and taking care of ourselves the way we're supposed to be taking care of ourselves. And so in this particular case, I'm not against doctors. I like doctors. But God doesn't want us to go to the doctor first. He wants us to talk to him about it first. He is Jehovah Rafika. He is the one that may guide us to this doctor, or all of a sudden we run into some person that says, oh, my doctor is great. You should go to him or her. And so sometimes he will lead you in that direction. There's nothing against doctors. God said he knew from the womb who we would be. Yes, we need doctors. Yes, we need chemists. Yes, we need pharmacists. We need these people. Some of them are ordained by God. Not all of them are crooked. Some of them are truly trying to find remedies to help us medicinally. So, it's very, I recommend that whatever's going on with you, you do research. I also believe that there's a spiritual reason why certain illnesses are prevalent in our bodies. And I think that we also need to research that as well. But God is the healer. And I thank Him. And I will continue to do my very best to take care of this temple from the inside out. Thank you for tuning in.
If you're looking for a life coach, go to www.JeannetteMJones.com and sign up for a free 15-minute complimentary session. I assure you, you will not be disappointed.